Bienvenidos. Today we're going to talk about absolute superlatives in Spanish. Absolute superlatives are adjectives in Spanish that imply that the quality being described is to the extreme, thus super in superlatives, okay? So if you think of something being super tall or super delicious, in Spanish you can use a superlative adjective to describe that quality. Okay? I have some examples here. Let's say we're talking about some cars. Carros, okay? And they're big. In Spanish we could use the adjective grande, okay? Carros grandes. Or we could say they're very big. Carros muy grandes. If we wanted to say that cars were super big, in Spanish we have an adjective form that we can say super big. We can say carros grandísimos. Carros grandísimos. That means super big cars. If we wanted to talk about some girls that were really smart, we could say the smart girls, las niñas listas. We could say the very smart girls, las niñas muy listas, but the absolute superlative, we could say las niñas listísimas. Listísimas. This is the absolute superlative, super smart, okay? Okay. Tomate. Let's say we bought a good tomato. Tomate bueno. Tomate muy bueno, very good tomato. Tomate buenísimo, super good, okay? It's like very, very good. Let's make up some sentences. Los carros grandísimos están en la calle. The super big cars are in the street. Notice that these superlatives, these absolute superlatives, have an accent mark on the next to last I. Okay? All of them have that accent mark. Notice also that absolute superlatives agree in gender and number with the nouns they modify. Okay? So we have carros. What's the gender? Masculine. What's the number? Is it singular or plural? Plural. And grandísimos is also masculine plural. Okay? Masculine plural, masculine plural. We could also say the cars are super big. Los carros son grandísimos. Los carros son grandísimos. If we knew that we were talking about cars, let's just say we've been talking about this new car that came out on the market, how wonderful it is, and we want to say they are super big. We could just say son grandísimos. Son grandísimos. Okay, so it's a special type of adjective that is a little bit more expressive than what we have in English. In English, we'd have to add super or very or extremely. In Spanish, we can just add another ending onto the adjective to make it say very big, super very big. Okay? Tomate. Let's use that one. Let's say I bought a super good tomato at the store yesterday. Compré un tomate buenísimo en la tienda ayer. Okay? Compré un tomate buenísimo en la tienda ayer. Okay? Or if we were just talking about a tomato that was really good, we could say, fue buenísimo. Okay, it was super good. Let's talk about las niñas. Do you know the super smart girls? ¿Conoces a las niñas listísimas? Okay. We could ask, are the girls super smart? Las niñas son listísimas, or we can even change the word order. ¿Son listísimas las niñas? Okay. So this is a great adjective. It's used a lot in Spanish because it's so expressive. Now there's some spelling issues that we need to be aware of. We already know that these superlatives, these absolute superlatives, have to agree in gender and number with the nouns they modify. And that tells us that they're always going to have one of four endings. When you're using an absolute superlative, it's either going to end in O, OS, os, A, or as, okay? Any of the absolute superlatives are going to end in one of these four combinations of letters. Now, when you're converting an adjective to an absolute superlative, there are rules for spelling that we can follow. If the adjective that you're converting ends in a vowel, you simply change the vowel to ísimo, okay, ísimo. Or ísimos, ísima, or ísimas, okay? This is going to depend on the gender and number of the noun you're modifying. But you basically change the vowel on the end to ísimo, okay? For example, alto. To change it to super tall, we could say altísimas, if we're talking about the girls. Las niñas altísimas. And all we did was add ísimo and then change it to as on the end to match niñas, okay? So we changed the O to ísimo and then fixed the adjective to agree in gender and number with the noun we're modifying, niñas, okay? If the last letter of the adjective is Z, okay, so you have a singular adjective and the last letter Z, like feliz, you change the Z to cisimo, cisimo with a C, okay? So feliz would change to felicísimo. So it's basically just like this, only you change the Z to C and then add ísimo, okay? So this Z really becomes a C there and add ísimo. If the last letter of the adjective is N or R, just add sísimo on the end. Okay, so for joven, it's jovencísimo. If the last letter of the adjective is L, we add ísimo. So for fácil, it's facilísimo. And notice that all of these spellings have the accent mark on the first I here in the superlative ending, in the absolute superlative. So they all have this I with an accent. And even these all have an I with an accent. Now, there's another rule. If it ends in a vowel, and the next to last letter, okay, is a C or a G, we have another spelling rule. So if you have an adjective that ends in a vowel, but the next to last letter is C or G, you have to look at this rule. I'm going to stand over here. If it's a C, like rico, you have to change the C to QU and then add ísimo. So you change the C to QU and then add ísimo. Change the C to QU and then add ísimo. Okay? If the next to last letter of an adjective that ends in a vowel is G, change the G to GU and then add ísimo. And the reason for this is because these letters need to continue to make their hard sound, the hard C sound and the hard G sound. And in order to do that before the vowel I, we have to change the spelling of the word to maintain that k sound or that g sound. So to maintain the hard G, we have to put a U after it. To maintain that k sound, we have to change the C to QU. That's the reason for these spelling changes. So these are for adjectives that end in a vowel when the next to the last letter is C or G.